Hello, everyone. Hello, conference. Thank you for inviting us. Myself, Igor, and my colleague Michael, we are going to talk about a project to compare human and machine evaluation of academic articles, specifically summaries. Before we begin, allow us a couple of words about ourselves. My name is Igor Brebre. I am an information specialist at Healthcare Improvement Scotland, where I support basically all information specialist related tasks to support the development of guidelines, health technology appraisals, and other documentation related to evidence-based medicine. Michael, over to you.
Yes, I'm Michael Upshall. I'm a consultant, formerly a publisher of encyclopedias and academic books. But for the last several years, I've been working with AI software companies, providing tools to facilitate academic publishing, and working with publishers and institutions. Thanks, Igor.
Yeah, so the outline of our presentation today. In this brief talk, we basically describe a trial we propose to set up for libraries to compare AI, so artificial intelligence, and human approaches to the academic workflow. Specifically, we are setting up a trial of summarization tools for research articles. We think it's going to be medical articles, but we'll see how the recruitment goes. And we wish to compare the human-created summaries of those articles with machine-based versions. We will compare the work of 2 humans and 2 machine-based tools, so for each article. And in this way, we can compare not only humans and machines, but we can also compare humans with each other. And with this, we hope to demonstrate a role for information professionals to carry out effective validation of new technologies, in our case, artificial intelligence solutions that are coming up. And in the discussion session afterwards, and based on your feedback, basically we hope to refine the methodology before we proceed with the full-blown trial. So the goal of this project itself is there's obviously more than one. First of all, we wish to compare as I already said, the human and machine versions of AI tools. So how do we compare? In this instance, summarizing the articles. We want to create and refine the methodology for the appraisal of AI tools. We'll say a little bit about this towards the end. And we want to basically not just identify, but point out why the information scientists are especially well placed to carry out this appraisal. So these are the 3 main goals. Now, if I delve into the subject, why summaries? Obviously, summaries have existed in one form or another since the basically first journal articles, or the articles as the article as such, as a part of science and scientific communication has appeared. We need articles to make it easier to understand and to glean the context, the content of the papers themselves. The summaries greatly facilitate, especially in our day and age when articles just proliferate, the publication speed is immense. So summaries very much facilitate the literature surveys, but then the summaries themselves, as they are, the formatting and the variety of summaries, they present challenges both for humans and for machines, so for the artificial intelligence solutions as well. AI tools on one side can work faster and have potentially fewer errors in summarizing the stuff, but, and there's a big but, machines do not understand the context. It's very hard to kind of program the awareness of the context within the artificial intelligence and machine learning solutions. So one other point that I would like to express here is much of the guidance around this produced by the library and the information specialists themselves is not measured for impact. So there's no, so far, there's been no measurement around, you know, how our advice impacts and advances and facilitates the development of the research projects that we are supporting. And last but not least, there is a great need to somehow measure the performance, to measure to make it evident the performance and the input that the AI tools are, and in the near and distant future will be making. So we need clear methodologies around how to measure the impact of the AI tool. At this point, I would just like you to, for example, think about some of the AI solutions that have, you know, recently emerged in literature searching. Yes, you can use AI-assisted searching tool, but when you have to sit down and record what you have done and what has happened behind the scenes, so to speak, there's almost no way that you can be certain of what has happened and how have you got from your search input to the results that you're looking at. So this is just one of the areas that, you know, we need to come up with some kind of methodology or some kind of an agreement between the solution providers and the information professionals and the wider, basically, user base. So that's a little bit about the background and the issues. And now I'll just say something about the abstract and their limitations. So why do we want to compare the thing, the human and machine performance? So first of all, abstracts obviously use technical terminology that a lot of time is not clearly explained. Simply the technical terms are not explained. Everything is clear to the authors of the article, but you know, if someone that is not of the discipline or from the specific, you know, specialist in a specific subject area, they just won't understand what they're saying. The other thing related to terminology is the use of the acronyms. We all know, you know, the convention is the first time you use the acronym, you explain it. You know, just now, I would just like you to think about how many times you have seen an abstract using an acronym that was not explained, and you're just, what does that mean? So I'll obviously have to look into the article where they explain the acronym, hopefully. Then the abstract might omit some of the key concepts that are actually contained in the article, just to stick to the requirement of brevity. The abstract layout itself may not help the comprehension. One study actually found that nearly 60% of researchers found that the abstracts that they looked at were unsatisfactory. So they were not able to, based on reading the abstract, they were not able to understand what the paper is about. So what the question was, what was being done, and essentially what the results were. So that's where the so-called plain language summaries come into play nowadays. Not just nowadays, but recently there's been a growth in solutions that kind of try to offer a service that produces a plain language summary. I probably mentioned, and you have probably heard about Kudos, and it's just as an example. And the solutions essentially are based around the idea of creating plain language summary of the article that communicates more simply to the readers of, what the essence of the article is. So what the question was, what they've done, and what they found out essentially. Abstracts, as we know, are typically between 250 to 500 kind of words long, but the plain language summaries could be even shorter. I mean, there's solutions around that summarize an article in a sentence, basically. Also, there are studies that found that the non-running text was easier to comprehend. And so solutions are around, and the research that we are proposing is, to just compare how the artificial intelligence and machine learning based solutions nowadays offered, how they compare with the human summaries and kind of human understanding of what a good summary should look like. And with this, I hand you over to Michael.
Thank you, Igor. So we looked at what AI tools were currently in use, and just before looking at summarization tools, as Igor said, the AI is already being used in academic publishing, and there are some areas where it has clear benefits, and you can see great advantages. I mean, all of us use spell check nowadays, and we all of us use email spam checking facilities. And what's interesting about spam checking and spell checking is we recognize that the AI tools are not perfect. It's not a sort of there isn't a sort of 100% success rate when using AI, but we acknowledge that overall the use of AI makes things a great deal easier. We know that spam checkers don't pick up all spam, but if we didn't use a spam checker at all, we would have a mountain of emails, and our productivity would go right down. So we think there are clearly benefits for AI in some areas. Discovery is another one where AI is being used behind the scenes. You can see here, if you key into Google, if you misspell a term, Google finds the nearest the nearest term that it has in its index. So there's some AI tools already being used to facilitate discovery. And then finally, plagiarism is another area where the use of AI provides really helpful tools that enable you to point towards. It doesn't give a definitive statement, but it gives you some pretty good clues as to where plagiarism might be taking place. So there's the background. AI tools are used in several areas and have a great benefit. So let's see if they can work for summarization. Another example, within systematic reviews, there's no way that AI tools can actually carry out the entirety of a systematic review, but there are aspects of systematic reviews, for example, identifying the number of participants in a measured trial that are relatively easy for a machine to pick up. So there are some components, then perhaps summarization tools might be able to provide a component of the whole operation. So we looked around, and there are several tools now that offer summaries, and we focused on three. And I'll just show you some screenshots of what those tools have done. We're planning to use just two, so we're going to select from these three. So the first one we looked at is something called Scholasy, which uses a technique of both selection and rewording. So selection, it simply selects what the AI tool identifies as significant sentences from the article, and that may or may not be sufficient to comprehend what the article is all about. I think it's not always a reliable method, and so rewording gives better results, although it's more complex. And Scholasy does both. So you have a selection of, you can choose a selection of sentences, or you can have and also you can have rewording, and it can get the number of words down. And in fact, Scholasy has a configuration screen which enables you to select how long the summary is, which is very interesting, and how many key points. So there's an opportunity for you to actually configure the kind of summary that you would like, which is potentially very helpful. Semantic Scholar is not dissimilar. It provides summaries, but it focuses. The most interesting part of Semantic Scholar is a service called TLDR, which stands for Too Long Didn't Read. It's an AI tool which is not used across the entirety of scholar literature, but it's certainly being used in biomedical content, and it reduces the content down to around one sentence, around sort of 50 to 100 words. And the great advantage of the TLDR approach is that when you do a search through the scholarly literature and you see the results, it's possible to get a summary that short into the results, so you can see at a glance what the article is about. And this potentially is very useful for the literature survey. There's a similar, not dissimilar tool from a company called Elicit, which and they call them takeaways, which actually sort of produces an even shorter summary alongside an article. And it may be that those very short summaries are effective. Perhaps they're sort of they're too short to be useful, but we're looking at them in any case. So, as Igor said, the methodology is our plan is to use humans as well as machines, and essentially we'll for each article that we check, we'll have two humans writing summaries and two machines writing summaries, and then we'll anonymize the output so that when we come to review the summaries, the reviewers don't know who produced whether it was a human or a machine or which human. So in that way, we do get a sort of the benefit of like a sort of a blind testing. So that's 50 research articles within a domain, and we're asking the humans to write a short single sentence summary as well as a longer summary, and asking machines to do the both, something similar. And then we'll ask the humans to evaluate it for completeness, intelligibility, and also to state there whether they feel the long or the short summary is most useful. So then it comes to sort of the crucial question of evaluation. Unfortunately, evaluation is not something which has always been handled very systematically for AI tools. And I can speak from experience of sort of presenting AI tools and having them trialed by publishers and institutions. Frequently, the first people to look at it, and sometimes the only people to look at it, are the sort of the people the people running looking at who are just evaluating the trial, which of course has the problem that you tend to as an individual, you tend to sort of confirm your own bias, and so there's a bias there's a bias there. Slightly better is if you're evaluating, you ask some colleagues, but But again, there's a danger here in that colleagues tend to be selected. You tend to select colleagues with whom you agree, and the colleagues may not have subject matter knowledge. So better than both of those is asking subject experts. Although even and we hope to show from these tests that even subject matter experts may disagree, but nonetheless that's probably another still a benefit in terms of rigor of experiment. Best of all is, of course, to use the people who are the likely end users, that is, the researchers themselves. And so methodology is that we will use the same humans who wrote the reviews to check the reviews created by others. So they are the end users. And so in this way, it's a little bit like A/B testing, a sort of evidence-based. We're simply isolating one feature and comparing their behavior. The kind of results that some research projects display look rather spuriously sort of precise, like this. What many projects use is something called the F1 score, which is a way of comparing precision and recall. We don't think such a system is going to be entirely appropriate for measuring summaries, but we are certainly looking to try and show some kind of visual result comparing the human and in this case the humans are the blobs and the machine learning are the X's, and to be able to show in some sort of a visual way what the results of the experiment are. So just to summarize then, we're looking in this experiment to say, can machines produce usable summaries? Is this a scalable system compared with humans? Scalable meaning sort of, can we run it over a large number? And also to compare the sort of long and short summaries. So that's the sort of that's the goal. And now back to Igor to summarize.
Thank you, Michael. So the role of the library within all that, I'd say information scientists, we are really uniquely positioned to understand the context of it all. So on one side, we are aware of each of us working in our own unique subject areas. We are aware of the developments and goings on in the subject area itself, while on the other side, we are aware of the tools and we know what's coming up. So for example, if I refer you 2 slides back to the slide where Michael was showing to you the outcomes, the F1 scores of the machine and the human classification, you know, the outcome for the machine classifier was brilliant, and and you think, you know, that's some kind of magic. But then I would just invite you, you know, to just briefly think back at one of the results that you were looking from PubMed, where you looked at the subject headings that were machine assigned to the articles, and you were scratching your head, you know, wondering what's that doing here, you know, and how did that came about. So it's not all bells and whistles, you know. It's everything needs to be put in context and understood from basically understood from our perspective. You know, yes, there's pros to AI, but there's also cons, and we need to be aware of that. And that I think is the main and the unique position where information scientists currently really stand, you know. So we are in between the subject matter and the tools, and we understand the context. The second one, we are also very much aware of the bias, and by bias I don't mean just biases within the publications themselves. We are aware of the confounders stemming from the, how shall I put it, wider research framework or research environment. You know, and everything from funding of the project to where and how the articles get published, you know. And last but not least, this is just for completion. Basically, we are experienced in bibliometrics, and this kind of refers back to point number one. We are experienced. We know the tools. That's what I'm trying to say. We know the measures, we know the methods, we know the tools. So we know where the upcoming AI tools and machine learning tools fit in. Where could they be helpful? What can be improved? Where are the pitfalls? And so with this, Michael, could we go to our last slide? Basically, this is the AI literacy framework for information scientists and librarians broadly that we actually propose, and consists of these 5 basic steps. Some researchers have come up with the idea of the more specific idea of AI literacy being the ability to work with and make use of the intelligent agents, of, you know, the artificial intelligent agents and machine learning solutions, basically. And in this presentation right here at the end, we suggest that AI literacy is basically something that we all already use to a lesser or greater degree, and we are all equipped with these abilities to understand, you know, what's been going on. And the five main points that you see here, you know, we actually think that equipped with you know, keeping in mind these 5 points and the abilities that basically come with them, we can make the effective use of AI in our work. And on the other side, what we all do, you know, help others make use of the tools and understand how they work. And so the 5 points that, you know, you can see: understand the difference between human and machine intelligence, then be aware of the technologies that use some kind of artificial intelligence solutions, be it fully or partially. Then distinguish between a general and narrow AI, so sort of understand a little bit of theory behind the artificial intelligence. And then identify the context within which the AI can be used effectively and efficiently. And we are currently, I think, lots of us at the point where we are trying to figure out what can I efficiently and effectively use within my workflow to help me, you know, improve the quality or speed up the process or something else. Point number 5, from the understanding of the subject matter and the tools, identify the problems and the types of problems where artificial intelligence really excels and can be of great help. And then the problems where they might, you know, prove to be more challenging for AI, where we could use AI to help us, but we need to keep control. The citation at the bottom, effectively, the researchers, the Long and Magerko, they proposed 25 items long list of information of artificial intelligence literacy. What we propose is the 5 items that you see on the list, and we think that as information scientists, we are uniquely placed to help, you know, researchers and help the adoption of AI tools. We think we should promote the good and ethical practices of using the AI tools and machine learning solutions, and last but not least, the governance of the AI agents. And with this, I thank you all for your attention, and I invite your questions, your thoughts around the project, and looking forward to a discussion with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.